welcome to Tenacious with the Tenacious for episode 6. Guys, super excited about tonight's episode. We are talking Rez Life. We're going to talk about some growing up Rez, a little bit more detail. I think it'll be fun to hear some of your guys' stuff. Hey, just kidding.
Heck yeah.
And then changes on the reservation. Like our reservation has been through a lot, especially of people, a lot. And I'm really finding this out. A lot of people don't know a lot about the oil boom and the Bakken. And we're going to talk about that because it's pretty crazy. It's changed a lot about our reservation. A lot of good, some bad, but a lot of good as well. And then last but not least, where are we now? And that's going to be a good one. I'm Tika.
I'm Mel.
I'm Destiny.
I'm Milani.
All right, ladies. Who has the shenanigans today? That's
Shenanigans of the day.
Mel, I thought it was you. Mel, no. Just kidding. It's me. It's me. I had all the drama. I had the drama. I'll fill you in, but Milani has a super exciting announcement as well. So I'll fill you guys in on a little bit of drama in my life this week.
OMG, announcement time. I mean, it's not really announcement. It's just like some life changes that I feel like I really wanted to share with everybody because it's a really big deal for me. It's a really big deal for my career, for my family, like kind of finding a different career path. Well, not really a different career path, but so if you know me, I have been with Cobell Scholarship since day one. Literally started in a shed, started on a laptop, doing scholarships and social media and outreach and all that good stuff. And I've been there for 6 years. So I basically saw everything from the start to now. I love that place. My heart's there. But I think I need to challenge myself a little bit. So I'm actually resigning from Cobell, and I got the Director of Digital Marketing and Communications position with Planned Parenthood. So everybody out there, follow Planned Parenthood on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of the teams, because that's going to be me. And I think it's so cool because they have never had an Indigenous voice leading their promotional outreach before.
What?
And
Hell yeah.
it's kind of a big deal. And I am going in full humble. I want to make sure that I can provide the services that I can for, our womb bearing individuals, because shit's happening in the world. If you're not paying attention to the news, you better, because they're coming for our rights. So I'm going to go act the fuck up.
Preach.
Yeah.
Do it. We got your back.
You know what? I love it because of what I went through this week, man. We need women making shit happen, man.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm so over this toxic masculinity bullshit, and men think that they're above all and they can treat us like we're below them, because that is bullshit. And you know what? Talking Rez Life, man, ladies, where we come from, women were always the leaders. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back.
Patriarchy, baby.
That was our Earth Lodge, and those were our gardens.
We built that shit.
They came in our home. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. 100%.
I'm so proud
Ben
of you,
followed
Mommy.
us. Our
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, so just that's my little shenanigans.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, those are very good. That was a very good shenanigans, Lonz.
A very positive one. Mine was a little bit negative, but
spill the tea, sis.
Talking about, I just feel like, it fits. We're talking about reservation life. Politics can be a big thing on the res. I mean, only can speak for ours, not all reservations, but I think a lot of people probably could connect with this. But we have a program that we started on our own, and we've literally just been hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And we're just treated like shit this week. Like, and it was just like, honestly, you know, the thing is yeah, like the stuff could have been done more on our end. I believe that 1,000%. But at the end of the day, the way we were treated by the males that are heading, you know, our government and our, you know, our people is just like, it was really disheartening. And, you know, I just think it's so crazy that it's something that we're still going through in this time of 2022. You know, women are stepping up, and women are beyond qualified. We can do whatever we want. You know what I mean? But it sucks that like they still view us the way they do.
Well,
You know,
let's
as
be
girls.
real. That's also a threat, you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, and I guess what was the worst part about it? So basically we had a meeting with one of the higher ups, and he just really talked so down to us. It was so disheartening. Like I was like fuming inside. Like I just wanted to like say everything. I wanted to just like freaking attack him, but I didn't. I had to be respectful. That's how I was raised. I wasn't raised to, you know, talk like that to anybody. You know, and so it just really sucked. But at the end of the day, I still feel blessed. Like we still have our program. We're moving forward. Moving in the right direction now. So I don't know if it was a blessing in disguise or what, you know, but it was definitely disheartening, you know, and you know, there's a lot we can do as women, all of us, you know, like we're making moves, and I'm really excited for us, for our sisters.
Honestly, it takes a lot of strength to like accept that behavior, because you do hold yourself in a very like elegant way, you know, because we were raised different. We were raised to be above these situations, right? Because it's like, I don't know. I feel like I always see those memes like quiet women rarely make history or whatever. And it's like, well, I feel like it takes a different amount of strength to be able to like be reserved and let them act up and be like, whatever, you know? And like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
for
I have a
sure.
really big theory on the reason why like Indigenous men are the way that they are today. And it has everything to do with intergenerational trauma. Because like we were talking about, we were the matriarch. We built earth lodges, we controlled the houses, we controlled, you know, our education for our children and our gardens, we fed everybody. And we held such a high stature within our communities. And then the colonizers came in and told all of our Indigenous men, like, hey, you have to be the leader. You have to like demean your woman. You have to like, you know, do XYZ to prove that you are, you know, something within this world, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like it was probably messing with their brains. And like, that is like all like absolute trauma, to have to change your normalcy, your culture to like the white man. Right. Because those guys over in Europe are fucking awful to their women, at least like back in the day. But
yeah, and plus on top of all that, like with you saying that, also when we got into reservation life, gee, I don't know if I said that how I just mixing up my words. Anyways, we got into the reservation life. Our men, they were the ones who did all the hunting and did, you know, the fighting and, you know, watched over us on that level. And they got that all completely ripped from under them. So then what were they supposed to do? You know?
And also, I think boarding schools, you know, boarding schools took so much away from us and our people. Like people went to boarding schools and a lot of them never saw their families again. Or when they went home, everybody was passed, or, you know, and so they literally didn't have anybody to like pass that down to them or teach them how to be. The only thing they knew was how like those abusive ass like people at the boarding schools. And so that's how they learned to parent. That's how they learned to be. And that's like, there was literally nothing that they got, you know,
I mean, that happened to
100%.
Grandpa came home. Our grandfather came home to nothing. His parents died when he was really young. He had nothing to go home to, even on Christmas. Like they said he would stay at boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
So sad. Anyways, just got really sad, but
Yeah.
it's such a reality though. Like that's a good theory. I mean, I think that's the reality of, you know, it sucks, you know, like it is important to empower our men into, you know,
exactly.
But at the same time, they have to be held accountable too, for treating women the way.
100%. Yep. So all of you Indigenous males out there, let's do better. Let's, you know, mutual respect. You are not better than anyone else in your community. You are a service. You provide a service for your constituents, for your community members, for your tribal members. Stop acting up and learn how to act right, because that's some bullshit and you should know better.
And the other, okay, oh my God, I feel like everyone's just getting like super. And another thing, well, I mean, but for real, like, you know, that used to be like positions of power were like a big responsibility. You know, it wasn't like for all the praise that you could get. It was literally like what you could do for your community, for giving back. You know, that's why we have giveaways and stuff. But it's not, it just seems like a lot of people just want to be in positions of power so they can be in power, you know, and like,
and money. Everyone wants to get money these days, you know, with all the shit going on at home, which we're going to talk about. We'll get deeper into all that, but it's definitely that's been a thing. People are wanting to, you know, build up on that money and gain that power and make the money. It's not really about like this specific person. Things were said like, oh, well, he's there for the money. He don't really care about the people, you know? And I'm like, there's a lot, and it wasn't really raised at home, you know? There's a lot of people like that who came back for the money, for the oil. So that don't actually have the love for the people and for the community, you know?
It's just the position.
Yep.
So politics. Let us know if you want us to spill all the tea on that, because I feel like all of us have some thoughts on reservation politics. But today, that's not what we're talking about. Today, we are talking about growing up Rez Life. So if all of you weren't aware, we were all predominantly raised on the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation, which is located in Western North Dakota, the home of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara people, which is all located on the heart of Sacagawea on the Missouri River. So we are river people, and it's home. And I'll let all of us talk about our own experiences when it comes to growing up Rez. But for me personally, I was born in Minot, North Dakota, and went on the Rez and really never left until I went to college around 19. I then went off and you know, did some things off the Rez. But so yeah, I don't know what's your guys' experience growing up on the Rez. Desi?
Pretty much same. I mean, a lot of it is the same. I grew up in the boonies on the Rez, right next to the lake, because my dad was a rancher and he carried on the Baker Ranch for a long time. So we held it down in the boonies. And, you know, I grew up on the Rez. I rodeoed. I went to school in Newtown and graduated, and I went to college in Newtown and graduated first environmental science class. What? And then all of a sudden my parents decided to up and leave and move to New Mexico, and you know, I'm the baby. I'm like,
now we're neighbors again.
Yeah. And so I'm like, peace out, Newtown. I'm moving to New Mexico.
Me and Des fully grew up together. We did everything together. And then there was a couple years where we lived separately. And then when Des was coming to New Mexico, I was like, thank God. But of course, we got entrapped in the city life where like it literally takes 2 hours to get to your house. So we see each other when we can. We're full-time parents and everything. but Rez hers.
Rez
You know, I don't live on the res right now, but I'm res for life, you know.
Rez lives in me.
The Rez lives in you, that's why. Come on.
I'm the biggest reser you'll ever meet. Just kidding.
Did you see that meme about with what's her name from Reservation Dogs?
Yeah, Mel edited it and sent it.
Oh,
to me.
yeah.
Literally you.
Like, yeah, right.
Funny.
She's coming for your brand, Des.
Yep.
That character was based on Destiny Baker. You didn't.
Oh my god.
Fox Dean. My last name is Fox Dean.
Oh shit, that's right.
That is a married woman.
I know. Sorry, Des. I still call you Baker a lot too.
It's fine. I'm always Baker.
So how about you?
Fox
How about
Dean.
you, Tika? How was your experience growing up, Rez?
You guys ready? Are you kidding? Are you sure you want to know? Just kidding. See, none of y'all even say A with me. Talk Rez.
Well, you know.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Honestly, my experience is, I don't know. I don't want to get negative, but you know, at the same time, I'm proud for where it came from. I'm really thankful, honestly, that I grew up on the reservation, because I feel like there's a lot of things that you learn just growing up at home that you take for granted, that you learn it just because you're growing up on the res, such as, just knowing our clanships. We had these conversations, like when it comes to like funerals and wakes, like that kind of stuff, like it's just, you just learn that kind of stuff growing up at home. So I'm really thankful for a lot of that. But man, I grew up at home. I went to school in Newtown High School. Ran cross country and track there, played basketball there, state champs. Just kidding.
You still hold a record, I believe?
Yeah, in track.
Hell
We still hold the record. Yep. So I'm proud. I'm proud of what we did there. And I feel like our generation that went to school there really brought sports back up, especially like cross country and track. And they created a dynasty there. So it's pretty cool since ever since I left, those guys been winning state titles like constantly.
Cool
So
Mhm.
so it's really
Town
awesome.
Eagles. What?
Yeah, and then Eagles for life.
Yep.
I know it's
Always
really hard
Eagle.
to cheer. It's hard to like cheer for other schools. It's really weird. Like
Mhm.
really weird. But
Mhm.
anyways, I don't know. I just have I'm proud to be where I'm from. I mean, as the experiences I had, I went through a lot of tough times growing up in Newtown, but at the same time, they all I wouldn't be who I am today without those moments,
sure.
and those things I went through. And I, when I was 18, I left, went off to college at UND. And then when I was 27, I moved to Phoenix. And now I'm back. I'm in Bismarck and work for the res, work for the tribe. It's definitely been a different experience being an adult now, being back around here at my age, and living a whole different world off the res. And that's what I was saying, like when it's crazy now thinking about my experience and just growing up there and what we took for granted, like just the things we learned, because now I'm teaching my kids all this stuff. I'm like, man, you guys like don't know shit, it's my own fault.
Who raised you?
What the hell? Like they'd be like some of the things I say, I don't want to repeat it because it's mean, but I can't believe it. I'm just like, dang, I need to do better. Anyways.
All right, Mel.
Yeah, Mel,
what you
go.
got? What you got?
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh yeah, me and Mel
Well.
were roommates too for quite a while. Me and Mel lived together.
That's when Mel became the biggest reser.
I'm pretty sure I rubbed off on her.
Mel B. What?
Oh,
Mel B for life, baby.
Oh my god. Is that your MSN chat name?
Okay. Oh, after I was gonna say Remember like our nicknames? Like mine was Tika Jones, too fast, too serious.
Oh my gosh.
Throw it way back
funny.
to tumbleweed.
Shit.
You can we'll leave that y'all to decide who that is.
I don't know my nickname. I don't think I've ever had one.
Maloney Baloney, the Shoshone pony.
Oh. Okay. I brought that one on myself. Yep. Forever Maloney Baloney.
Maloney baloney.
Oh,
All right, Mel.
God.
All right, Mel, listen.
All right. So, well, my experience is a little different. So, my dad worked for the government. He's been retired for, oh my gosh, 13 years now. My kids are 13. Yeah. But he worked for the BIA, so we lived all over. I was born in Utah, right next to the Fort Duchesne Rez. And I lived there for a long time. Not on the Rez. Well, we lived on the Rez for a little bit, but I went to school off the Rez about maybe 30 minutes away. And my dad worked there for a long time, so that's where we were. And then we moved to the Fort Washakie Rez. So I lived there for a few years. My sister actually lived there for like 20 years. She was a teacher. She got married. She was there for a long time. My dad lived there for a really long time too. After he and my mom got divorced. So we were there for a minute in Fort Washakie, but same thing, went to school about 20 minutes away, not on the Rez, but still lived on the Rez in Fort Washakie. And then moved back to Utah, kind of bounced around a little bit, and then raised a little too much hell there. So they sent me they sent me to be Tika's roommate, Uncle Jared's boot camp. So that was when I moved back. I think it was a really long time before we came back. We came back when we were about 11. There was probably 4 or 5 year gap there where we didn't come back at all. Mm-hmm. And then we came back when I was about 11, and that's when we started coming back pretty regularly. And that was when I really kind of like, I missed that big part, that like really little kid, part, which I always wished that I didn't, but I was really happy that I was really happy to move back and like, have you guys and be there. And then I moved away. Let's see. So then I moved there. What was I? 14, Tika?
Yeah.
When I moved in with you?
You were 13. 13
yeah.
14.
Yeah. So then my dad moved back to Newtown. So I lived there until about 2005 when I still lived in North Dakota. And then I came to school at Fort Lewis here in Durango. And then just always went back. Yeah, so lots of bouncing around, but I was raised on the Rez my whole life, even if it wasn't Fort Berthold Rez, but different Rezes. And even after I came to school here in Durango, I moved back in about 2008 and lived there for a while. And then I moved back here to Durango in 2011 and have lived here ever since. So yeah, just all kinds of Rezes my whole life.
Well, the cool thing about that, Mel, is I always remember our grandma Inez, that she'd always say you were her bluebird, because no matter what, you always came back. Because when grandma's bluebirds came back in the spring, you would come back in her like during the summer. And so like, no matter what, you always found your way home. You know what I mean? And so like, I feel like that was always like super special. It was like summertime, Mel's going to be here.
And then to give a little bit of explanation, when she talks about Uncle Jared's boot camps, Jared.
Thank you. Yes.
And every single person, I swear, that came to stay with us, he tried to get them in some kind of sport, but mostly it was either running or basketball. Milani was put through the boot camp too.
Well, I'm pretty sure I got it suspended because I went and lived
shut
with
down.
you guys to specifically get training to become a basketball player because
Yeah.
the whole family wanted me to be a basketball player because I was 6'3", you know, star quality. Nope, I was a band star. I'm like, I'm gonna play band. And then Auntie Carrie, she would always find me on the computer because you guys were the first, well, besides Destiny, you guys were the first ones that ever had a computer. And so I would like go on, you know, MS Messenger and like Bebo. And then I remember one time overhearing Auntie Carrie, and Auntie Carrie was talking to Grandma, and she's like, how do I get her off the computer? What should I do? And I think I was suspended after that. I was lost cause.
Well, the crazy thing is about Uncle Jarrett too is I didn't go to a boot camp, but I got forced to run, and I had to run cross country, and I had to run track. And you have a runner's body. You're gonna run. You're gonna be a track and cross country star. Nope. I went to rodeos.
Yep.
You meant no, today when we were doing our interview too, one of the girls was talking about my dad. They're like, so like what, you know, she's like, oh, I got a story about Tika. And I was like, oh gosh, what's she gonna say? And then she's like, whenever I'd say with her dad tried to make me like go run with her. Like, are you trying to make me move to Newtown to play basketball or run?
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Uncle,
my gosh.
from day one, influencer.
Nope.
Yeah.
He still
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
The OG.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, we're gonna start with Desi. Fill us in on some Rez taboos. What do you got?
Okay. So well, okay. So the big thing and the big disclaimer, right, is like native taboos. You know, every tribe, all different natives have their own beliefs, their own taboos, right? We didn't even really call these taboos growing up. This is just how we were raised, okay?
Shit you don't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
And we just gave it the name taboos so everyone could understand.
Right. Well, and that was another thing. I just wanted to touch on that because everyone has different, like, you know, names for it or whatnot. And so native taboos, one thing I wanted to do is because I grew up different. My dad was my dad is really religious. So growing up, I was in the church, you know, a lot and whatnot. And so growing up with him was a lot different. When I'd go to my grandma's, I would hear a lot of these things that she had said, these taboos. And then my husband, I got a lot of his taboos too from him, and he grew up differently than I did too. You know, he grew up in a different city, and his family is a lot more culturally aware, more spiritual, more traditional than the way I was raised by my parents per se, right? And then I got some from my mom, and my mom is Turtle Mountain. She's Turtle Mountain and Sioux. But I got some of her stuff too. So I just kind of went around and did a little research and whatnot. So, and I want your guys' input after I read some of these or after, you know, whatever. Cause we mean, you know, grandma, a lot of these are grandmas. So, one was, don't whistle at night, right? We all learned don't whistle at night. That was a big one. Keep your windows closed at night. I am a firm believer in keeping my windows closed at night. So keeping your windows closed at night and don't look out the window. So like our grandma was a firm believer. And so I was raised like that too. Even earlier, my window was open just a little bit and I was like, no, not going there, you know. And I don't know like the whole reasoning behind a lot of these things. A lot of people just say that our elders said these things and told us these things because they wanted us to behave. and act properly and to be quiet, you know, at certain times and different things. Okay, so I've heard that. Other things, it's just like spiritually, right? So my husband had said the reason why they keep their windows closed is because they believe something could look into your home, right? Like bad spirits or
That's
whatever.
what somebody told me.
Yeah. And so that's a big thing. And then like the don't whistling at night, I said earlier, I always heard it, but then Pierce touched on it and he said they weren't allowed to whistle at night and whatnot because something would like twist their face or something of that. But it's like a lot of these have to do like the spiritualize is like bad spirits, right? So that was the closing windows, don't look out the window. Grandma always said don't leave baby stuff out at night, outside at night, and I'm still a firm believer at that about that. Like even toys, we put all the girls' toys away, we bring all the baby stuff in, we don't leave baby clothes out at night. And that was true, like bad spirit wise, you know, you don't want bad spirits touching or being around the baby's things, right? This is Pierce's my husband. If the door opens on its own, don't say come in. You don't know if you're letting a good or bad spirit into your home, so you always say, you know, you don't acknowledge it. You just, you know, you shut the door, don't acknowledge. Like I said, Pierce was raised more traditional, so he was like snapping these all out for me. He's like this and this.
How much time do you have?
Right. And so then this is another big one we learned too. Don't eat at night, or don't eat meat at night, or don't eat in the dark. Like going home from Mina, you know, all of us growing up around the res, we had to drive everywhere, and at night when we drive home, I remember turning on the little light in the back because I didn't want to eat.
On my way home tonight, I was eating a pizza, had my light on and my thing.
Yeah.
My kids do that too.
Same. And so that's just another thing, because like you and another Pierce said too is you don't want to leave food uncovered out overnight. No, because you're like inviting or whatever, you know, just you don't leave food uncovered and out at night. It has to do with the spirit thing.
Which kind of makes sense to me, because like, you know, you put a spirit plate out,
right,
you know,
right.
That's what my kid's grandpa told me. He's like, it's like you're literally inviting them, like this is for you, you know.
So that's why, like, I don't know, like we're really good, like right after we're done eating or whatever, we put everything away, you know. We don't keep things out. And
I think that's why
I don't know,
raised like that. We were literally raised to like, I never leave ever, like never leave food out. Like as soon as we're done eating, you put it away and clean up right away. You don't ever just leave it sitting around ever. I've never done that my whole life.
And we always heard the don't eat at night and don't eat meat at night, you know, that whole thing. Okay, this was Pierce's too, so I'm just kind of touching on what he said and what he's like the meaning behind it. So it's, if you hear someone or something say hey, or someone talking behind you when you're walking, you're never supposed to look back. And if you do, you're supposed to do a full circle. So that was him. I think I might have heard that don't play with a basketball or balls at night.
That one.
And this one was grandma's, and my mom actually reminded me of this one because I actually forgot about it. But you guys know, like the dust whirlwinds that blow, you know, when
bad spirit,
you know. And so when they would go through, she would say something, and I want to say it was in Hidatsa, but I don't remember what it was, and my mom didn't either. But she would say something, and it would basically mean that she would just tell them to go on their way and leave us alone, because it's supposed to be a bad spirit, the whirlwind. So if you get hit by one or one's by you, you're just kind of supposed to tell it to go on its way and to leave us alone. So I don't know, it kind of brought back a lot of memories when I was doing a lot of this. This is because I just would hear grandma in my head there for a minute, like, you know, don't you close these windows, go around and close all my windows, you know. So we would go around and close all the windows and put food away and not eat at night, and you know, just like different things like that. And I'm probably forgetting a ton. And I wish I would have probably wrote a lot of them down or asked like the aunties more about these things, because I'm sure they have a bunch too. But that was kind of the sum of what Pierce had told me and what I remembered of grandma. And I just thought I wanted to add a little bit more into this, you know, and my mom being Turtle Mountain Chippewa, she had a couple and I thought they were pretty cool ones. They have the like Sky Dancer Hotel, and the Northern Lights are really big in their culture in Turtle Mountain. You can see them like, oh man, if you haven't been to Turtle Mountains at night during like the summer when the Northern Lights are full blown, you have to go because it's absolutely beautiful up there. Turtle Mountain Reservation is 6 miles from the Canadian border in North Dakota. So we're right next to Canada up there. So anyways, she was taught growing up from her grandma that they don't whistle at night either, but it was just for them when the Northern Lights were dancing, because they would come down, you know, and like take them or whatever.
Get called.
So so that was a big thing, and you never whistled at night when the Northern Lights were dancing. So that was the big one that she told me. And during Lent, and this must be like, you know, deal it with like Catholic wise, but during Lent, she said that they would always say, if you broke your Lent or what you were supposed to be doing during Lent, the Ruggeroo would come after you. And the Ruggeroo is half man, half something else, had hooves, you know, and that's their that's their hoofman. Up north, he or she is called the Ruggeroo. But if you broke your Lent, you would see him, or he would come, and then you couldn't party or like, you know, like do bad things during Lent, otherwise the Ruggeroo, or you would see the Ruggeroo. There's actually a whole book on the Ruggeroo, and I have it, and I could put, you know, the details out if anyone wants to know more about the Ruggeroo. I have a book on it actually somewhere nearby. But yeah,
I thought
it's
you were
like
gonna show us.
Oh, I don't have it like right on hand. I'm sorry. I'll pull it out and we could put it somewhere. The title, the full title, and the who made it, so everyone can check it out. But it's actually really cool. Really cool book. And I had a lot of fun doing the native taboos. It was like I said, it brought back a lot of memories. It brought back how we were raised. Like I said, everyone has their own beliefs and own, you know, everyone's different, every tribe's different. And, you know, I'm sorry if I said something in the wrong way, or, you know, like the whole
don't cancel us.
Wow. Yeah, it was just, you know, these are my takes and what I heard, and what my husband had heard, and what, like I said, what my mom heard when she was younger too. And so I don't know, I thought it was really cool. I mean, I wish I would have done like more research, you know, and got into it, because obviously we're in New Mexico, and like Navajos and Pueblos, and they have their own taboos. And I've heard a few because my in-law is actually married to a Navajo woman, and so, you know, I heard some things, and I wish I would have did a little bit more research, but I don't know
about the eclipses.
Oh my goodness,
allowed to be outside, or they're not allowed to eat during it or be outside,
or like look at it even.
Look.
Like, don't.
To be honest, I was like, when I came down here, the taboos and everything were really scary. Like the southern tribes have some stories, and like even like the petroglyphs and like the drawings and everything of like like beings. And I'm
Mhm.
kind of like I've 100% fully respect the native culture down here, because I'm like, I don't want
Mhm.
to get anyone pissed off, because I'm really scared
Yeah.
of what
Yeah.
your guys' say here.
I know. I know.
know.
It's crazy
You know, I was
too,
thinking
because like,
about. Oh, go ahead.
okay, I know I was just gonna touch on that real quick, and it's just that, our grandparents and our parents and our, our family all in general have taught us like to be really respectful of others and other
Mhm.
tribes, and and I know like one thing is my dad was really big on like if you're feeling scared, if you feel any way,
Hey.
you go to church and you pray. And I guess that's what our grandpa used to say too, and like, but it's just crazy because of the way like they made things, like how they said these things, like don't eat at night, don't do this, don't do that. And then it kind of made people into big chickens, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so here we are, we don't want to play outside
The
at night,
biggest
we don't
chicken,
want to
such a
do this
chicken.
at night,
No, and they were like firm
And-
on it too. They were very
yeah.
firm. But what I was thinking about when you're talking about a lot of like it all has to do with spirits, like bad spirits, like allowing them in your home. And so like most of that is all like, because if they can see through your windows, they can see what's in your home and what they what they could potentially whatever. It's like you're allowing them in, like with the door and all that. And a lot of the things too, like about food. It's so funny because this was a conversation that just happened today. So like I'm kind of like very like I just heard it all. It's
Fresh.
so funny. We just heard
Yeah.
fresh on some of this stuff. And one of the things that was said was when we were talking about food, like you're supposed to, not everyone does it, and we weren't raised this way either, to like give like every time you eat you're supposed to like feed the spirits or whatever, we didn't always do that, but we did, especially on special occasions.
Yeah.
We always fed,
Holidays, family get
holidays and stuff like that. And so that's how we were taught. Not every
Oh,
single, not
that reminded me of another one too. Like when you drop something, you're supposed to
You
leave
leave
it because
it.
it was
Oh,
it was for someone else.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
another
like
one.
food or like cigarettes. Like my dad was
yeah.
like
Yeah.
because my dad was a cigarette smoker for many years, and so anytime cigarettes would drop, he'd be like, "Oh, someone wants them, someone needs them."
Oh,
and
how about
then
like if you
don't
would
leave them.
smell it, and no one was around you, they'd say someone like must been around you smoking or whatever, looking for a spirit. But okay, am I off or not on this? But like, what about?
Oh, don't say it.
Don't say
Stop.
it.
Why are you saying it?
I only said it once.
You're gonna go light some cedar. Oh,
said it
I
one
don't
time.
feel safe.
We won't say it no more. Anyway.
Okay, so I have a story, like actual like real life experiences with that situation that you just mentioned. Growing up on the ranch and growing up, like riding and stuff on horses, Uncle Kyle, because we would find horses with like
fully braided horse.
braided
hair.
their hair would be braided, and it'd have the cockabirds. What do you call them? Cockabirds. Cockabirds on them. And I remember Uncle Kyle was like, "Don't you take that out." He's like, "Don't take it out. It has to come up by itself," because that situation they mentioned was like after the horses, or like trying to ride the horses and braiding the hair, because ultimately like those spirits lived in the trees, and so like I remember that, and it always stuck with me because they were braids. And like it was, oh God. But yeah, so that's a big one back
I heard
home.
a lot of ones like that too from other people too, like from home, that would happen to their horses a lot, all the time. Yeah.
Well, remember, Tika, when we wanted to camp outside and we were with Star, our brother Star, he's another one of our first cousins, and he was like teasing us about it, so he said it a whole bunch of times. And then we started hearing all kinds of stuff outside the tent, and it started raining. Like, I'm pretty sure there was like a tornado that night.
That was when we lived up at where Uncle Randy is now. Oh my God. Yes, I remember that. And we were inside.
There was a big old tree line up there too.
Yes, and we saw,
Yeah.
and then we went hiking the next
and
day
our tent
and saw
was like right there.
Yeah, saw some
Absolutely not.
weird kind of animal that I still to this day like have never seen, have never identified. Like it was weird.
When the tail was like spinning.
Yes.
I know.
Oh.
We saw it and everyone thought we were crazy. Everyone.
Yeah,
We're like,
they're like, oh, it was a squirrel. It was whatever.
yeah,
scared.
And we're
they
like,
told us.
I'm
They
scared.
told
Yeah.
us it was a squirrel. And we
Oh my God.
it was
Yeah.
not. It was not a squirrel.
Yeah.
And we're
It
just we're
just-
on our break and we're eating our crackers that we packed.
Yeah. Our other sister Miranda,
Biggest chicken.
also our first cousin. Yeah.
Her and Auntie Val. Her and
She
Auntie
came to
Val.
our house and we're like, oh my god. Well, you too, Milani. You won't come
I'm
to our
so-
house because there's like too many windows.
Your windows.
My dad doesn't care. He's like, whatever. But another thing that Miranda told me, we were staying at I can't remember what casino it was. She was on like a work trip and I went with her, and she told me that like you're supposed to, and this is something I've heard too now being in here in Durango where there's lots of tribes, is that you're supposed to take your hair out of your hairbrush when you stay in like casinos and stuff, and like wrap it up and like flush it down the toilet or take it with you, or like, you know, and I think other tribes I've heard have other like protocols that they have to do, you know, like throw it somewhere or burn it, or, you know, like save all of it and then burn it. Yeah. So that was another one. I remember Miranda telling me that one. And then another one she said is that when you leave places like that, you're supposed to say like, sometimes you can leave your
back.
spirit.
Yeah,
So you're
spirit home
supposed
with
to be
you.
like, yep, come on, let's go. Like we're leaving.
Yeah.
I remember when I
know.
moved back from Phoenix, that's what Miranda told me too. She's like, make sure and call your spirit home with you, you know?
Yeah, because otherwise you kind of like feel lost or empty when you get home from places and stuff. I don't know if anyone has ever felt like that, but I know I have definitely. And so then I remember like you're supposed to call your spirit back, and I don't know if it, you know, if that, I don't.
I forgot about
many
that.
taboos. There's so many taboos. There's so many stories. There's so much, you know.
I have a spin.
What?
So taboos, native taboos. So I don't know if this is a theory. I don't know if I heard this from somewhere or read this or someone told me about this, but back in the day, obviously the living situation is very different from what we have now. We have refrigerators, we have, you know, locked doors, we have different measures to protect ourselves in a lot of ways. But I heard, or I have a theory, I don't know, this isn't my brain, but that these like cultural taboos are put in place to protect us from like the environmental and like enemy tribes and stuff. So for example, you don't whistle at night because you don't want to call coyotes to you. You don't want coyotes around your house. And I mean, a lot of ways too, coyotes are spirits too. And then you don't leave food out and everything because you don't want anything to get into your tent, to get into your house, your earth lodge. So you don't want like, you know, bugs in there. You don't want to get sick. You don't want it to hurt you, right? Which back in the day could be represented as bad spirits making you sick, right? And then even like clapping outside or making loud noise or playing outside at night can be construed as, you know, giving away your location when enemies were in your area. And so like, what?
I forgot one.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish my thought.
No, hold on. That has to
Okay,
tie in
go
with
ahead,
the
go
no
ahead.
noise thing.
Okay.
No crying at night. Don't
No
cry
crying
at night.
Oh yeah.
Yep, because they'll know you have children, and in doing so, you're vulnerable to enemy attacks.
Yeah.
And so, and then, you know, you don't keep your windows open because you don't want things to look in to steal you or to look at you, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, ultimately, I feel like our ancestors are, you know, they knew what was up. They knew, but they put it in a way that they understood, which was
Well,
spirit.
also, I'm sure a lot of it got lost in translation. You know, there's so much of this like Western stuff that's like, oh, primitive this and primitive that. But it's like, no, there was and it's crazy because it's like Western medicine is finally catching up with like all of this indigenous stuff that they're now, you know, and they'd be like, oh, they're crazy. They're super like woo woo, you know, they would do this so many times before they planted seeds, and then, you know, they'd learn later, like, oh, because it helps them grow better. That's like scientifically
Mhm.
proven, or, you know, there's like all
Yeah.
of this science that's finally catching up with indigenous knowledge. That's like,
Yeah.
Well,
you
we
know, that
had
it's
Heard that.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
not us, but like Southern tribes, they had intelligent sewer systems. They had toilets that ran into the
Mhm.
ground that interconnected
Mhm.
between houses and emptied out into a place that was away from
Mhm.
their water. What were they doing in Europe? They're throwing their shit out in the street and getting sick and freaking black plague. And like
Yeah.
even like yeah, you know, and
It's
like
so
even
true.
with bathing, we need to keep our, like, I feel like as indigenous people, we take care of ourselves in a lot of ways, and we, you know, we want to present ourselves in a healthy and like good way. And
Mhm.
so we would bathe. We were very clean, for at least from what I've heard. And then
Mhm.
you know, Europe, they didn't bathe, and so they came over stinky, you know, not like taking care of themselves, and natives are like, you're sick.
Mhm.
So true.
Gross.
When
You can't sit with us.
Ew.
I know. When you talk about that stuff, Milani, though, my mom used to say that all the time. Like all the time. Like, I mean, we always like practiced that stuff, like always close our windows, you know, everything like that. But my mom would say, you know, like I really believe that like they did that stuff because of like close enemies close by, like what you said, like disease or animals coming around, like just, you know, like naturally native people were super clean, super smart, crazy intelligent people. You know what I mean?
We're still
Like, we knew-
super clean, super smart, highly intelligent people.
I just said naturally.
So
That's
very,
like
very good looking. Very pleasing to
very,
the eye.
very great posture and so how about those taboos, guys? I don't know.
So
I'm not gonna
many.
lie. I'm a little scared right now, but gotta go smudge. I'm gonna go smudge after this.
Cover your windows.
I know all my windows are covered. I'm like, ee. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like growing up, you know, on the res and kind of like you hear these, so it becomes a part of your everyday life, you know. And I think that's like the beauty of like being able to implement your culture within like your, you know, just your everyday norms. And a lot of people always kind of like talk shit about like growing up on the res or whatever. And I'm like so thankful that we had that experience. You know what I mean? We can all relate with like hearing those things, right? From like aunties and grandma and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to hear some stories. I want to hear some stories of kind of growing up, how it was. Yeah, so let's hear it, ladies.
Oh, growing up stories.
I
don't
can
know.
start.
I feel like, oh, go
or
ahead. Go ahead. You start.
Yeah.
No, you want to.
Yeah. So I feel so to this day, I feel like growing up where I grew up has directly impacted my my family that I have now. And okay, so let me give you some context. You know, I was raised by grandma because, you know, my mom was sick and my dad was there, and she ended up passing away. My dad was grieving. So being with grandma was kind of the place where I was supposed to be. And so I was everywhere. I was everywhere on the res. Grandma took me everywhere. I knew all of our, you know, grandmas and grandpas on every level of grandmas, first cousins, second cousins, third cousins, because that's not a thing, right? It's just your grandmas and grandpas. And so I was really, really like blessed in a way that I know our entire family and I know kind of like how we're related and whatever. And so in doing so, dating on the res was like not a thing for me. I'm a baker and also a Fox Brady, which means I'm related to every single person on Fort B. So yeah, so like I don't know, I feel like the biggest takeaway of not being able to like grow up, you know, dating or whatever on the res which means I had to move all the way to Albuquerque, New Mexico to find a white guy to marry.
And make a beautiful
And make
baby.
my beautiful
Yes.
baby. Yeah, no, he's like the best, but I just thought it was so, because it stuck with me, you know. It's like, I don't know. I felt like
Me and
you
Alex
know,
are related. Woo woo.
we're not related for sure, 100%. So that's where it was.
Not even clan wise. Not even
Even
clan
clans.
wise.
They're gonna rip on clans with him. He has to get
Not even
adopted.
clans.
I
No
think
use.
you're so.
That's
Or go ahead.
crazy.
I was just gonna say, I think like you're so like fortunate with grandma though to get to know everybody, because all of us kind of missed out on, especially, and this is one thing I noticed about our family is that the aunties, they're closer to like a lot of grandma's side of the family and stuff like that. So like, because you spend a lot of time with the aunties too, and so like you really got to know grandma's side of the family, where we're all children of the boys, of the brothers, and we didn't have that same kind of like connection. You know what I mean?
I did.
Oh,
I was grandma's neighbor. And grandma
I mean, but like going with
and
like
no,
how
and
Milani
grandma
went
and grandpa
visiting around.
babysat me, and grandma would take me to partial all the time with her. So I went to partial all the time, and I got to meet our grandmas and be with them a lot, and got to meet our family and our cousins on her side too, because she took me to partial all the time with them when she babysat
Gosh,
me.
always visiting, always
Yeah.
visiting.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, it definitely is a blessing, to be able to like be raised that way. Cause even like, I don't know, I feel like I have a lot of confidence in like teaching my ways to like my son now, because I learned from grandma, there's nothing that can tell me that it's wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's I know what you mean though, Tika. I know what you mean. But
yeah,
Okay,
touching
well, I guess I can't
more
speak
and
for everybody, but yeah, I wasn't.
yeah,
I wasn't
no,
that close
it's
to that side.
I don't think
we know those are our cousins or other brothers and sisters, but I guess we just wasn't raised quite as close as you were but that's very fortunate. I think that's probably a little bit like, dang, I think you're lucky, but at the same time, it was unfortunate circumstances too. So it's like, but like, you're really blessed to have grandma in that way, and all the things you got to learn from her and stuff, and being in the home with her all the time and hearing all her stories and
and
Oh
everything.
my God. Yeah, no, like when you said that, one of my favorite memories is grandma talking to Grandma Dolores, and they would gossip in Hidatsa.
Yeah.
And like,
I experienced that.
grandma,
we learned all the bad words.
Yep, grandma didn't know I was listening, but I was listening, and I know some of the things that they were talking about. And our grandmas, they naughty. That's where we got it from.
I know.
That's so funny.
But
I know, that's crazy. I love that story.
And my dad, he was gone. He left, and he was working everywhere. So he was gone for years and years. And everything that I learned, I feel like I kind of like piecemealed it together from, I said Miranda like told me a lot. Our big sister Miranda, Auntie Val, Auntie Claire. It's like a lot of the aunties, I just like here and there, like take trips with them or hanging out with grandma, going to her house. And I just kind of like, like, oh, what are they talking about? But it was more like, my dad was just kind of he was gone for a long time from the res before he moved back when I was like in high school. I moved back before he did.
Yeah, you did.
And that's crazy.
And Auntie Carrie, learned a lot from Auntie Carrie.
Yeah, Auntie Carrie knows her
My
stuff.
mom's definitely the definition of
yeah. I don't know. Growing up on the res, I like obviously all of us have different experiences. We have all different, whatnot. But I guess my takeaway is just like being Milani's, being neighbors out in the country, getting to grow up right next to my grandma and grandpa, growing up out on the ranch and doing that, whole life with my parents, and kind of carrying the Baker Ranch name, the why, you know, our brand and carrying that for, for our, you know, and just carrying that on. And that was my big experience, you know, and
my thing sprayed on I have like a little air freshener thingy and it sprayed and he heard it.
It was really, it like hit me, it scared me. But yeah, it does, like that's really cool too, because like we have a lot of shared experiences, because my best like memories are going to rodeos with Uncle Kyle. Like Uncle Kyle took us everywhere. I remember like always in the truck, you know, and like we'd have the horses and go rodeo, and grandma would sit up in the car and watch us practice, and like
we had the funnest experiences too, because like we grew up with not a lot of money, right? Like us, right, Melania, like we didn't grow up with a lot of money. We were so excited when my dad would take us in his little beat up, twined up doors with his loud exhaust system into town to the book fair and buy us books. And and we were so happy, and we didn't even care. We were in a bomber.
You have to tell that story. You have to tell that story. Tell it. Okay. I need to hear it again.
Okay, so Melania and I, you know, we were neighbors, obviously. And so my grandma and grandpa, or my grandma couldn't take her to our elementary book fair. And Melania's older brother, Heath, was a football star then and playing for the Newtown Eagles football team. So that was going on that night. So my parents were like, yeah, we'll take the girls, you know, we'll go to town, you know, we'll take them. And like I said, we didn't have a lot of money. I mean, they made do, you know, we had nice things when we did, but like they didn't care about stuff like that, you know. And me and Melania
always thought they were rich.
We always had everything we needed.
We always had everything we needed. My parents hustled, they, you know, but we didn't care either, you know. Like I didn't grow up like that, or we didn't grow up like that, right? So anyways, my dad had this old beat up Chevy. Twine held the doors shut. He had feed bags everywhere, and then something happened, and it just would smoke like no other, like the back, like something with the exhaust, and it would just like, it was loud, super loud, and then the exhaust honestly was like a cloud behind it. And Melania and I were like, yeah,
wasn't that truck like red, right?
Yeah.
It was red truck.
No, it was
blue.
I was gonna say, is it the blue one?
Yeah, it was his blue Chevy. And
he still has it, right?
No,
got rid of it. You're probably thinking of the red trailer that he had forever.
War Pony. You're thinking of War Pony. Anyways, so and we were just so excited. Me and Melania don't care, right? We didn't care like that. And you know, like our kids thinking about it now, our kids would not get in that truck and go
mortified. Like, this isn't safe.
And me and Melania,
I have a really good story now.
We were in the back. We were driving down. We went, you know, and obviously we lived out in the boonies, so we had to go across, like by the village, past the Bakersfield, on the bridge, go into town, drive through town, you know, and get to the school. And we went to, and we were smoking that truck was smoking the whole way. Me and Melania were like, yeah, we're going to the book fair. And we didn't even care, you know. And like,
I just remember looking back, and then Uncle Kyle, no biz, just, you know, getting us to the destination, and then look back and this big black cloud. You couldn't see the cars behind us.
Yeah, and it's
you know,
we have so many funny stories like that, you know. And like,
I have a really good one.
Oh man, it was so fun though, and we had such a good time. We got to buy up. My parents bought us all kinds of good books at that book fair. I remember, and me and Melania were so happy, and we went and watched Heath play football that night. And
number 73.
Yeah, and we had the best time ever in that old beat up Chevy truck.
Heck yeah. Good times.
Were you gonna talk about the minivan, Tika?
Talk about not carrying shit. Me and Mel B.
Oh my god. Excited as hell.
Man, we thought we were the shit too. We thought we were so cool because we had the 10 minivan.
Yep.
What the heck kind of brand was it again?
I remember that.
It was
was it a Ford? I think it's a Ford.
A Ford Aerostar or something.
I think it was.
It had like the one sliding door.
Yeah. I've seen one drive like around Rio Rancho the other day, and I was like, oh my god, Tika's van.
Okay, so talk about Rez Life. All right, let's go here. No permit. So obviously no license. The van, only one door worked on it, passenger door. We didn't care. Like my parents both worked full time, so, and we only had one vehicle that I don't know how we ended up. Oh, my grandma so my grandma, we lived with my grandma, my mom's mother. And so, she bought a car. So we had her car, and then she had her old bomber truck that, Jesse drove, my brother. And we called that War Pony too. So I don't know. We called different. And so when you said blue truck, I was like, Jesse had a blue truck too. And we called it anyways. And then I don't know. I can't even remember. Geez, I feel like I'm just but anyways, we had this one van, and my parents let me drive it to school because they couldn't give us a ride to school, and I didn't want to ride the bus no more. And so I was spoiled, and I got to drive the cool van.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, Tika's so spoiled. Tika's like,
she has a vehicle."
Yeah.
And so, honest to God, we did not care. We all would pile, a ton of us too. We'd pile that van. I remember like
in that one door,
passenger door. We all pile in there. We'd go to Tasty Freeze or like
Tasty
remember the
Freeze.
summer camp.
Growing up, Rez.
Yeah.
Tasty
When we
Freeze
went
and
to,
Charbies.
Loaded up a whole bunch of us. Remember when we loaded up and we drove to the old bridge, and everybody jumped off it.
No,
I remember we were like 10
yeah,
of us in there
jumping off the bridge, and we would just pile in. That one time, remember when we were driving and we had people laying down in the back?
Yeah.
No,
Growing
that's
up,
Rez.
Rez.
No, that's Rez.
Growing up, Rez.
Somebody stuck a paper towel, or no, maybe it was because it was summer and it was the powwow van. There was a paper towel roll on the antenna. Remember that?
Oh my God. Dude, or that time, remember I couldn't get it to go because they freaking put my emergency brake on.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Like, it was bad.
Oh my God.
The van was
and we
very
like
cool.
begged them to let us take it to school. Like begged.
That's so crazy.
Ooh, we did not
we
care.
have some really good growing up Rez stories, that's for sure. When you start taking it back, you're like, no, we were good. We didn't, whatever. No, we didn't, but then when you think about it, we grew up.
Okay.
Rez.
We were jumping off Four Bears Bridge.
We were Rez.
My latest
Rez.
story that people were very surprised about that just got brought up this week was that my parents used to make me take my little brother Mabahi when he was like 1 year old on dates with me to like mine up. He did ride with me in the car. Or the one time it was my varsity basketball game. I was like a senior, and they made me take him with him when I went to the game. And I wrecked my car. I didn't even have a car seat. It was just climbing around in the front. Do you remember that? When I was backing up on my Mazda, I barely got it. It was basketball season. I got it in August. My parents, it was like their first oil, when they first were looking at land. So they kind of got a check. So they bought me my car because my older brother got a car. So then I got a car. And anyways, I was backing up and Bahi's playing in the front, touching everything, and I'm trying to get him, and I'm backing up my car, and we have this long, remember the long drive?
Yeah,
the driveway, and then there was cars parked on one side, and so then I'm backing up and I hit I
think it was my dad's car.
Oh no.
I think it was my dad's truck.
I break the rearview mirror. I have to rearview mirror. What is it called? The
side mirror.
The side mirror broke off. I started crying. Went inside, bawling my eyes out. I got in trouble because I wasn't paying attention. Meanwhile, Bahi's in the car with me and no dang car seat because they're making me take him to my game.
Oh my God.
No,
I know.
that's Rez.
I feel like you were like Bahi was your kid.
He was. I even
You were
took him to
always
school
with
me.
Bahi. Yep. Oh, that's so
He even
funny.
went to school with me, a Spanish class, because my mom had no babysitter. So Bahi went to school with me too.
Rez.
Oh man, only on the Rez you could do something like that.
Yeah, and I feel
Anyways.
like growing up, in our community, like everybody knew each other. Do you remember how great it was? Like, well, I remember like in middle school and high school, well, middle school, I'd go on walks and there was the flagpole by the high school that I knew that all my friends are going to be at. So I would just like take a mob. I called it taking a mob. Auntie Raz, I'm gonna go take a mob. And I'd go to the flagpole and all my buddies would be
Yeah.
there. And like even now, being like a 30-year-old woman, when I go home, I always drive by the high school and I look at the flagpole. And something in me is like, I wonder who I'm gonna see. Is someone gonna be there who I know? And it's just like,
Ours was 3rd Street. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Ours was 3rd Street. Everyone hung out on that street.
We always hung out at I don't remember what street it was, but at Paige's house. And that was the spot there. And so I always drive by Paige's house or by the Hartman house. We'd always be there. And talking more about that is just like when we grew up, we got to walk around town. We got to go around, we got to walk around Newtown.
We had to do
night.
safe.
We got to walk to football fields. Yeah, and it was okay, like nothing ever happened. It was really quiet all the time,
Well,
we'd
was
get
this
up
one time.
Oh.
I'm not naming any names, but he was another person in Uncle Jared's boot camp, and I had this black car that was parked in front of my house on 5th Street,
exactly what you're talking
and
about.
and I left the keys in it all the time because whatever, like you're talking about, like it was whatever. We'd walk around at like 1 a.m. That was like the time that we'd go and like take walks and stuff, and we'd always hang out in the back on my trampoline. And I had some friends over and somebody wanted to take their like boyfriend home. And I was like, oh, go ahead. Like the keys are in it. It was probably like 4 or 5 a.m. My dad was asleep. And they went and they came back like really soon. And I was like, what's up? I thought you were taking him home. And she's like, yeah, your car's not there. And I was like, what?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, no, it's right there. Like it's right there. Just and she's like, nah, it's not there. And I was like, oh my God. So I ran to the front and it's gone. It is gone. And my dad is in the basement asleep. And it's like summertime, And so I call the cops and the cops are like, where's your dad? So they wouldn't help me. So I hung up and I can't read. He woke up and he like found out. And it was one of our, like I knew him. He was my friend. He was my homie. He was he stayed with Tika for a while, and he had just been out and like I don't know, saw the car and decided to take it for a spin, and we just found it in the back. Remember that back road where you can take the shortcut down like by the baseball diamonds? There's that dirt road. Yeah. So it was like right there, and he just left it. He took all my CDs. He took my keys, and I saw him like a week later and like chewed him out. And I was like, what the hell? He's just like, my bad, sorry. Like, I don't know.
How did you find out
it was him?
How'd you
find man. I can't remember. I think it was like word around town, like word on the street. And I found him and like asked him about it, and he's just like, my bad.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That happened to me before,
so
but it was
mad.
just like a joke. Like I left my car and then they took it and just like took it for a spin and then brought it back,
That's crazy.
But
Yeah.
we always left our keys in the car all the time.
See, but it was
wasn't even
just
a stop.
Yeah, it just growing up in a small town, not really having to worry about things like that, like we do probably now, where you go around, you go to the gas stations, you go around and you don't even know anybody, like you don't know a lot of people, so.
Yeah, that was the other thing I used to do. I would like go to
Oh, I knew it.
the general store.
I knew that's what you were talking about. That was my second guess.
I knew it instantly. I knew.
Do you remember when he went down to the lake and he was all trying to show off and swim around and be like, I'm a lifeguard, and he dived in, and remember that stump that was underwater at the lake? And he was all like showing off, diving around, and he comes up out of the water and his whole head is red. And he's like, There's a stump there.
Oh my gosh. You know what?
His
The
head got
Reziest
stuck in the
thing-
stump.
Oh, you I don't remember that.
It was damn
I
drowned.
remember that one.
You wanna, I was just thinking about probably one of the reziest things I've ever done. Eh.
Oh, I want to hear all that from all
That'd
of
be
you.
good.
Sorry,
Oh
keep going.
my gosh.
Reziest thing we've ever done.
Yep.
I don't know if it's like a reziest, but like
Okay, I got
I
one
got
too.
suspended from school for it.
Oh, you got in a fight?
Well, no, okay, like of course, like kind of. But Rez,
Context.
like, I gotta give the context of all of it. So like my boyfriend at the time, back in, like, and then everyone's like talks about or it's just like, oh, on the football bus, this person was sitting by him. Oh, she kept trying to do this.
The pet
Blah, blah,
bus.
blah, all that kind of stuff or whatever. Yeah. And so anyway, this girl, she was older than me. And y'all know, I know Melody probably knows. Destiny, you might remember. Melania
know
might
exactly
not know
who you're
because they're
talking
too old for you.
I don't think I know.
A few years than you. Anyway, so this girl kept like trying to mess with my boyfriend. And mind you, I'm like a freshman and she's a junior. And everyone's like, man, like, gross, she's this way, she's that way, blah, blah, blah. Like, you should just like, everyone teases her about her forehead. So you just walk by and like hit her in the forehead. And so I was like, and then everyone's like pumping me up. And it's like morning at high school, and the way our high school was just like 4 hallways. And so we go to school and like we'd walk the hallways in the morning, right? Walking the hallways and she's walking. So we made sure, and I had 2 of my girls by my side who like I knew wasn't gonna like they're the ones who kind of encouraged me too. Like they're by me on either side like this, and I'm in the middle. And so we're walking and we kind of walk by her and they give me just enough space. I walk by her and you're right in the forehead right here. And I was like, oops, I couldn't miss. And like it was like it had like pressure because we're walking, so I hit her right in the head. And I was like, oops, I couldn't miss. I was like, ha ha ha. She's like, you fucking little bitch, like trying to grab me. And I'm like, ah ha 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 ha, like just laughing. And my friends are just kind of like pushing her away, whatever. Then, and then I go to class thinking like nothing of it. And whatever. I thought it was so
I love
funny.
that. That's an amazing story.
And I thought it was so cool though. I thought it was like, just like whatever. Anyway, first hour is over. Freaking get called to the office. She told on me and I got suspended from school for 2 days.
But also super crazy. Tell them what happened after that.
Okay. Yeah. And then so I'm in so much trouble too. My parents make me like cut all the weeds and clean the whole house. It's like big deal. I got suspended from school. Anyway, then that night, honest, you guys, I got the worst headache I've ever got in my entire life. I was like shaking. I went upstairs. I couldn't sleep. It was like getting worse and worse. And I'm laying on the couch and I'm just like shaking. Like I couldn't. And I finally tell my parents, and my mom comes out there and she's like laying by me and she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, we need to take her in. Like there's something really wrong with her. So they take me to the ER in Stanley. And they I can't even remember, like I remember like being like in a wheelchair and then like pushing me around and like me kind of coming in and out or whatever. And I don't know what they gave me something, and I finally got home like that morning, and I ended up just sleeping the whole day that I was suspended from school. And yeah, I think it was kind of like,
Don't be hitting people in the head.
Don't be hitting people in the head. But then the person Mal was talking about that stole her car came home because he was living with us at the time. He's like, yeah, everyone's like, yeah, good job, Tika. She deserved it. Like,
dang,
He's also
that girl. That girl probably
He's
did
also
some
the one who
voodoo,
got me.
some black magic.
For real,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that nuts?
That's
But
nuts.
he's also the one who got me to jump off Four Bears Bridge, by the way, which is a miracle that I didn't like hit a stump.
That's not the only one though. I mean, I got some
That's
good Rez stories.
Fighting at school. That's Rez.
Fighting at school, pushing people into
Yeah.
lockers, me being a freshman, fighting seniors. It was fun, you know. Good
never actually got in a
experiences.
fight. I never got in a fight, but people like threatened to fight or like, you know, but I never actually fought in real life. Thank
Yeah.
God.
I don't think I ever did
I could
either.
fight.
I just can't back down to like you know,
I
you
don't
won't
take
do
no
it.
shit.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
anyone's ever like, you won't do it, I'm like, watch me.
The fuck I ain't.
I think, yeah, I don't even know. I just never been in a position to really truly fight. Like, people
Yeah.
threatened that they were gonna fight, but I never like was in a position to fight. I
Let
mean,
me just throw this out there too, real quick. Okay. My mom grew up in Turtle Mountain, Belcourt. And so she was a feisty gal, you know, and so she always taught me not to take anyone's shit. They throw the punch, they come to you, they're initiating it. So you finish it.
It was
kind of
always the
thing.
girls from Belcourt. They were always the ones that were getting into scraps at basketball games and
Yeah.
Oh, well, me and
They're
Desi
the
almost fought each
feisty
other
ones.
once.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh god, me and Desi always fought.
Yeah.
Ours was in
Yeah.
basketball practice, though.
I think we scared everyone too.
That was
I
a
know.
fight.
Yeah.
We scared everyone.
We were over it pretty quickly, though.
I know. We were all
But-
laughing later and
After.
everyone was looking at us like we're crazy. We're like, what?
we were both feisty back then.
I
So
still
I-
have a feistiness in me, you know.
So I like Desi how you talked about how we were kind of talking about like, you know, life on the res, you know, you're safe. You felt comfortable, everyone knew each other. So I guess kind of changing topics because we could literally talk about res stories for like days.
For like ever.
Yeah, we could.
But kind of like how things were. And I know Mel can you know bring us more into this, but kind of how things are now.
That's what I was gonna say before. Is that I used to, even when I got back from college or like for summers, you know, I'd go to the general store, I'd go to Super Value to just kind of like, who am I gonna see? And you always saw somebody, you know, there was always people you knew, people you went to school with, relatives, like, and now when you go back, it's different. It's they rebuilt the general store. That was a while ago now. But it's like way bigger. And Tika, I think you said this in a podcast before, one of our other podcasts, like they card me so that to get tax, you know? They try to tax me and I'm like, what are you doing? This is literally like,
you don't know me?
Yeah. Do you know who I am? And they like make me show them my tribal ID, you know, and it's like I literally don't know anybody when I go in there. And we were talking about, it's crazy because we were talking about some of the kind of like taboos and kind of stories and stuff. And I've heard in a lot of tribes too. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but that Bigfoot is like a spirit. A lot of tribes believe, and that it like he comes around when there's like a lot of change. Have you guys ever heard that?
He comes
I've
like
heard-
as like he
Yeah.
he brings like signs of like
Yes,
almost
like kind of like a
bad
warning
juju.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was crazy because I heard that from other tribes and I had no idea. Like I'd never heard that before. But there was this time when I was in high school, so it's probably like 2004, 2005, where people were saying they were seeing Bigfoot everywhere in Newtown. There were like all kinds of sightings, and my best friend who lived like 3 houses down, she was the one I used to take walks with at 1 a.m. like every night during the summer, and she came to my house and we were like getting ready to go for one of our walks, and she busted in and she was like heaving, like, oh my god, like I just saw this thing, I don't know what it was. And what she said is that she was by the track, and maybe she was running at the track, but she saw this really huge thing. She said it had to have been like 8-9 feet tall, and it was just kind of like really dark silhouette. And she said she saw it like clear, like a fence. It just, you know, like nothing, just like jumped over this really tall, like probably 6 foot tall fence.
Oof.
And so she said she just took off, and she was like rattled. She was like visibly rattled. And then it was right around that time where the oil kind of picked up, you know, people, I remember I don't know if you guys remember that, but that's when grandma bought her washer and dryer. That washer and dryer, remember, it was like
The
the
stacked.
yeah, in the
Mhm.
kitchen, so they didn't have to go downstairs and stuff. And that was like the big purchase, you know, it was like a
Yep.
I
big
know.
deal.
Remember, she said, like, I just want to get appliances. I just want new appliances for
She
my
said,
house.
I just want a dishwasher. She's like, all I want is a dishwasher.
Oh,
And she never
Yeah,
got
and
her
she
dishwasher, but she got
mm,
her washer machine.
washer and
And she'd
dryer.
be like,
Yeah.
Milani, don't overload it. You're gonna break my washer machine.
she always used to ask my dad, what should I do with all my what should I do with all, when I get all this money, what should I buy? What should we buy? And she'd ask, and my dad, and then somehow she brought up a helicopter. Should we buy a helicopter? You can buy a
Yeah.
helicopter.
Remember, so she could fly wherever she wanted.
Yeah,
Oh my
probably, and go see
gosh.
whoever she wanted.
Yep. Go visiting.
It's a partial in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, and it's like, it's crazy because you guys were talking about like the truck that was like all twined up and like, duct tape doors on the minivan. And that was just kind of, and it was, have you guys seen that picture? Somebody posted a picture, I think it was Braden or Shanoa on Facebook, and it was like we were down by the lake and it was everybody's cars and it was like everybody's old cars. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Just like, like not
Now
super
at
nice.
4th of July this past year, shoot, those cars and
Everyone's
campers were
yachts,
damn fancy.
It's like
Everyone's
it's the rags to
pontoons.
riches stories.
Yeah.
Rags to riches, man.
Well, and
for
it's like
real.
you see that everywhere too, and it's
Mhm.
nice though to like see people that didn't have anything or not a lot of money, and now they have money, and
Mhm.
like it's cool to see, because not a lot of tribes have money either. Like
Yeah.
we're very fortunate that our tribe does get money and does have money, because there are still tribes in North Dakota that don't have a lot,
Well, and I
Yeah.
know I
So
remember growing up, like everyone talking about, oh, our tribe is in so much debt. We gotta we borrow money from this tribe and this tribe, stuff like that, And now it's like we're that tribe, and the changes they've made, like in the infrastructure and having new schools and having new athletic
Well,
facilities, new
well,
gyms, new.
I mean, you bring up like the in debt thing, but the nice thing about like our community back in the day is that we did like look out for each other. Because did you know that Fort B was one of the original investors in the first Native American bank? We are original
Mm.
stockholders because we invested in that bank. So there's a Native American bank. It's located, I believe, in Billings, Montana, or somewhere in Montana. The Eloise Cobell founded, and MHA is one of the original investors. And same thing with Denver March. MHA was one of the first people to give resources and kind of created that powwow. And so
it's so
like
sorry.
even
Really?
like, yeah,
It's
even
crazy
if
to hear that though, because
yeah,
people like totally diss on anything that the tribe puts money towards or something. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, why
yeah.
are we
They,
giving all this money to
sponsored, they sponsored like the whole Denver March powwow like not many years ago, which I know people weren't like extremely
helped
happy
create it.
about.
MHA
that's
helped
crazy.
create it,
I
found it.
didn't know that.
And so
That had to
like,
be a long time ago.
and it's even like now that MHA got money, oil money, I know people like to talk a lot of crap about, whatever's, but at the end of the day, like our chairman established like, those payments to all of our tribal members. And then, like you said, all of the infrastructure that was built for like community centers and new powwow grounds. And ultimately
The insurance is huge.
insurance,
It's like game changer.
yeah, like have you ever heard of a tribal nation creating like insurance for the members? Because that whole spiel that natives get healthcare for free. IHS is a broken system, and it was developed as a broken system to not serve the people that it was meant to serve, and that was due to the federal government. And so like it, we take care of our own at the end of the day. And I really do appreciate that a lot in a lot of ways. And I mean, even like investing in powwow grounds and getting that like reputation, notoriety of like all of these like amazing, prize money and cars and everything that brought people to our res and ultimately put money in our communities. And I feel like a lot of people really shit on that, but
Mm-hmm.
it has I mean it's brought a lot of good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
So
true.
there's a lot of
There's a lot of
different, thoughts
there's a
on
lot of
that.
good and there's a lot of bad. When the
that's
oil
true.
industry,
Yeah.
hit home, a lot of things changed, and for a while things weren't the greatest around there. We weren't set up for the oil industry. We weren't prepared for the oil industry at all.
Hit us.
And we were hit, and we kind of had to adapt. We had to adapt and grow and learn. And I don't know, I just feel like we've come so far, and our tribe is doing fair, pretty well with everything. Like, we have environmental programs that have to do with oil and gas. Like, we have an oil and gas program. We have all these different programs within the tribe now that kind of help and benefit all of our members, and we never had that before. The tribal building was one little tribal, one little tribal building, you know what I mean? Now we have all these different
satellite offices.
all these
little
different
tribal building though. It's so funny.
well, no, they're building a new
They're
one.
building a new one. No,
There's a new one building behind on the relate of, like, right behind. Remember where the
they are
old
building a new
daycare
one.
was? The old daycare was. That's where the new one is coming up now.
Yeah, it's right.
It's gonna be really super nice.
It's
super
really nice, but the old one is so funny because they're still in it, and it's.
I love the old one. I will forever go in the middle of the old one and do the echo thing.
That cluck, because
because I grew up in that tribal building because my dad worked for the tribe for 26 years. So I grew up in that old tribal building, and it brings back so many
67 4781 main line to the tribal building.
Still is.
Can I talk to Ed? Yeah, Milani, hold on.
Yeah.
I just call that number today. It's so funny.
It's crazy.
And I don't know, it's also important to keep in mind too that a lot of changes were unfortunately also negative. And I think that comes with any major, like I guess money, right? When a lot of money comes into a community, crime rises.
More money, more problems.
Yeah, people come from other places to go and like take advantage of those opportunities. And like I feel like, especially in Newtown, wasn't ready for the influx of people. And so like the man camps became a thing. And, like there was a lot that I feel like, I mean, I don't know, unfortunately, but like I kind of ran away from. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why I left the res, is because it was just so like, different. It didn't make me feel good. I felt, like seeing other people and hearing things that happened. And fortunately, I was in a position where I was able to leave and able to go to school and find a job and, find my home here. But oh God, I still think about it. And I do feel guilty in a lot of ways that I wasn't in my community to like, support the best that I could. But I feel like I needed to leave to get the skills that I gained out here and working for all tribal nations to bring it back home. Because I feel at the end of the day, that's what they always tell you, right? Come home, bring back what you learned, and service your community. So I don't know. It's kind of, I have a really weird like guilt thing about that.
And I think we can, I don't know, I don't speak for Tika and Des, but I feel the same. I feel that too. I don't know if you guys can relate to that. Well, Tika,
I think it's
you're
different.
back.
I'm home.
Yeah, I think it's different for me because I mean, I left like later in life. I went to school there. I grew up there. I grew up there, went to school there, finished there, had a job there. I had a very stable life and a good life, really good life. I worked for our tribe. I worked for Game and Fish for almost 7 years, and then we up and left. But a big reason why we up and left was because of the oil industry and stuff and different things. And like we lost different things happened. And so we left, our home, and I had to uproot my kids, and we had to start all over in a new city and state and whole new life. And we're just kind of getting things down, but and that's home. I love the boonies. I love the country. I love our house out there. So, it's just
And I
different,
don't,
I guess, on my side, like a
yeah.
little bit different.
And I don't want to like downplay any of the negative stuff that like, the oil boom brought into our community either. Cause it was,
Right.
it was a lot. Like,
It's
Mhm.
still very
like
much there.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of people lost, but like you were talking about, the infrastructure wasn't able to handle it. So and drugs and accidents and just people who maybe don't benefit as much from the oil boom for whatever reason, and that's a lot of like uh colonization shit too, where some people get a lot of money, some people don't, based, like for lots of different reasons, lots and lots of different reasons. And so there's some people who, like you were saying, Milani, like we've all been really, really blessed, really fortunate to come from the family that we do. And some people maybe want to leave and can't. So there's a lot to unpack there, but that's not to say that we're not really grateful too. We have all of these new community centers. My kids are back every summer. They we all benefit from that. And there's there's a lot of positives too. We get to spend a lot more time with each other. We get to I was listening to somebody's presentation one time, and they were talking about, so this is, I don't know, this is maybe going to change the subject just a little bit, but I feel like it's also relevant. And they were talking about how we talk about like privilege, there's like this big buzzword, privilege. And I think it's has a lot to do with like white privilege, being cisgendered privilege, heteronormative privilege, just all of these like things that fit into the norm, like what is normal, mainstream, kind of like accepted. And they were like, yeah, but what about all of these other privileges of like being able to grow up at home, being able to grow up and know your language, being able to, like you were talking about, Milani, like knowing all your relatives, like all of these huge privileges. And that's also like a really weird view to take too, that you have all of these privileges because you look white or because you're, like whatever. It's like, dang, that is a fucking privilege. Being able to know your relatives, being able to grow up on your homelands, being able to know all of this,
your language.
yeah, like
experiencing
dang.
your culture and living it and knowing what it means to be Mandan Hidatsa versus like colonization one with separating our community members from home through boarding schools, through relocation act, through adoption, selling our children. And so there's this whole, I know what you mean, how it's there's a thing now where it's like people are like, I don't know, there's kind of a divide where if you haven't grown up here, then you shouldn't be here. But at the end of the day, that's the colonizers freaking winning. We need to welcome our people back. We need to like reestablish these kinships and be able to like keep our communities growing and getting bigger, because ultimately that's our goal of erasing eradication.
And it's, oh, go ahead, Des.
Oh no, I was just going to touch on that a little bit too. Is just that another thing with the infrastructure, or like just everything growing and everything on our res, and what the money has provided, oil money have, like has provided for everyone, is like now we have these beautiful buildings on our res, like the new interpretive center, and we have like, we're bringing back our history and our culture back to our homelands. They're going to Smithsonian's and different places and bringing our stuff home, essentially. And so that's like really I don't know, I always just thought that's so awesome. And then now they have all these my gosh, brain language, like they're bringing back our language, and then we have
Yes.
all these speakers and they're getting together and they're putting on Facebook and making like TikToks and like doing all
Yeah.
this cool stuff to like, make it,
making it obtainable. It's making
for
it like,
everybody.
so like at
Like it's tangible. It's becoming
Mhm.
tangible, our stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I just
it makes me connect, like when I was just talking earlier about like the idea, like us being privileged to grow up at home, like not realizing it though. It's that like connects back to when I was talking about like our children growing up off the res. We didn't realize our privilege of being home and just knowing our culture, our like our societal ways, our all that, like just growing up at home, knowing our clans. It's just something we knew. My kids are like, clan, like what is that? And I'm like, what? But we just knew because it was just already built into our DNA, built into what we were doing there. But having the privilege of growing up around our elders and our grandparents and all that, it was just something that we had. And it is a privilege. It really is, and I guess it does make me think a little bit more about raising my, because I have, as much as a positive experience that way growing up on the res, I had a very negative experience growing up on the res as well. And so like a lot of that is what made me not want to raise my kids there, and so, but then there's all this piece of it that's hard that they're missing out on, and so I don't know. There's a lot of give and take with it,
Yeah, and I I feel like I'm glad that you brought that up, Mel, because we do definitely, acknowledge that these stories are, near and dear to a lot of people, but foreign to others. And I feel like if anybody wants to talk about reconnecting, or if anybody just needs someone to be like, hey, I heard that I may be from there, reach out, let us know, because I would love to have those conversations. I feel like I had an internal battle with what it meant to be reconnecting urban native, and blood quantum, and I feel very confident in the position that I am now. And I'm like, let's help each other out. So
yeah, for sure.
So with all that said, where are we now? Where the heck are we? What are we doing? So we kind of touched a little bit on, when we left. So you guys kind of already got some of that. I left when I was 19, I think. And then, I've been living, I went to college at University of New Mexico. And what was really interesting is like living on the res, everyone looked like me. Everyone was brown. Everyone, you left the res, it was a whole different story being in North Dakota. And then coming to New Mexico, everyone was brown. Everyone belonged to some sort of culture, Chicanos, Navajos, Pueblo. There were so many different intersectional identities here. And so I felt like I could be my most authentic self living here, which I feel like is why I really established my home here, because I didn't have to, hide who I was. I didn't have to put on those blinders of leaving the res border, right? Because here it's truly Indian country. And so that's why I've never really left. I really, really enjoy living in Albuquerque. I appreciate it for what it is. And I feel like if I need a little bit of home, I'll just go, go find some natives, and it's good. We're good to go. And so, yeah. And then I ended up working with Cobell, and then I just kind of established my roots here. So that's kind of where I am now. But I plan on coming home a lot more now because I have a son. And I want him to know his relatives. I want him to know where he came from. I want him to like fall in horse shit and, experience everything that it is of growing up where I grew up. So definitely making a conscientious effort to go home more.
Yeah. I don't know where I am now. Just kidding.
Where am I?
I'm lost. No. I feel like losing, a big part of why we left, my family, why we left home, is we lost our road. in the country, and that was a big reason why we left our home, and so it was kind of like it wasn't like I was ready to leave. It's not like I wanted to leave, it's like we had to leave. And so then we came here, to Rio Rancho, and like established our little life here, with my girls and my husband. It's been really positive though too, like my husband is going to school and getting his degree in welding, and I got my master's while being home and here, and we
Heck
added
yeah.
another little girl to our crazy crew, and it's been really nice not being home for a little bit. Like, I will say, like, it's fun going home for the summer, and then, like, I always say it's fun going home, but it's like fun getting away too, but I don't know. I just, now, I guess right now I'm getting ready to go back and be back home and live home back on the res, in Newtown. And so I don't know. I feel like we're ready. My girls are all really excited. They love home. We have tons of family. They have tons of family because they have a huge family because of their dad, like he has family everywhere. So they are so excited to go home and be back home, and back on the res. So I feel like, that's where my head is right now. We're just preparing to go home and be home. So
I guess I could go next. I think that for me, I guess like I said earlier, I left when I was 18, went to college, and I lived in Bismarck for a while. And then my parents moved. They originally just wanted to buy like a vacation home or whatever in Arizona. And then they ended up not buying a vacation home. They ended up buying a home that was the best, and they moved. And then just the stuff I was going through at the time, some tough stuff, I ended up moving too. They convinced me. I honestly went kind of kicking and screaming, which is really funny because I absolutely loved living in Phoenix. And it was one of the best times of my life. I had a lot of changes there. And then it's almost 2 years now when the pandemic hit. A lot of stuff happened with like the oil, and money was lower, and it was just like they just felt like it was a good time to come back and just live life back here for a little while. And it's been a really tough transition for me, to be honest. But I know it's been good for my children because they have a lot of family here too, like a lot. Their great grandma lives here, their grandma and their other grandfather. And then obviously my parents are here too. So that's really nice. But I know that this isn't my final place, but it's good to be here for a little while and be back and and obviously, and then I think I have a different appreciation for being here now as well. But some of the stuff like I dealt with this week, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of things happening as reason why like I wanted to not be here too, So it's like it's one of those things. I definitely have a lot of like, I went through like a lot of weird traumatizing events back home, and I think so when I go home sometimes it's a negative feeling, but when I go out to like grandma's house and go to the lake and go like where our family stuff was, that always feels really good for me. But when I'm just in town or just in Newtown, or kind of some of that, I still have a hard time there. And so I think that's something I still have to heal through and deal with. And I think that might be why I was brought home too, because there's a lot of healing that I still need to have. It was really easy to go to Phoenix and like what you said, Milani, too. I really loved living in a city because it's just kind of this melting pot of people, and people don't care about you. They don't care about your life. They don't gossip about you. They don't know, people aren't worried about you. Everyone's living their own life and just going and doing these things. And then you come back and you're always on the go. Well, between me and my 3 children, I was like everywhere, like running, and everything's like 30 minutes from where we live. So it was like a lot of driving and a lot of on the go, but I really like that lifestyle. And so coming back here, it literally like stopped me in my steps, and I had to sit down and I had to like sit in my shit and really think about my life and deal with a lot of things I don't think I was dealing with living in the city. but I really love living in the city, and I really loved having that melting pot of people because I love other cultures. I love learning about other people. My friends are from all these different realms and natives. One of my closest friends when I was in nursing school was native. Like we connected instantly. It was so cool. And so that always made me feel home with her. And so I think I'm really happy where I'm at right now, but I know this isn't like where, I'm going to be. I don't plan on staying here, but I'm really thankful for my kids to be here right now. And they're at an age where they can learn and have the opportunity, and where they are understanding, and they're not like super young, they're at an age where they can really soak it all up and feel like this is home and feel like a part of it. But then, so like when, like us, like when we come home, that's still our home and we're a part of it and we very belong there. But like they can leave and know that, you know what I mean? Like have that. So I think that's really huge for me. And so I'm happy where I'm at, but I know this isn't where I'm staying, you know? So I still have another move. I know my future.
Yeah.
Oh, me. Oh my gosh. Like it's a big question. Yeah, I've been here for right? I've been here for a minute. Like, dang, I've been in Durango since 2011. It's 11 years, My youngest is like born and raised here, like true local. My twins have been here since they were 3. They're 13 now. So this really feels like home, but also, especially when I talk to you, Tika, like, you'll tell me stuff and I'm like, oh, I miss it. Like I really do have those times where I feel like I want to be back, like I want to move back, or I'm like, well, maybe if I get a career as like a teacher, then I can move back for the summers, like stuff like that. So it's just kind of always trying to figure out how to be back and like maintain that connection, because I feel really bad too. Like my dad, he's when I moved back, people would always be like, oh my gosh, Perry's daughter, Perry, and so, like he's still, and he talked too about maybe building a house there, but he's like he really misses it. I can tell, and I feel like I know that he feels like he missed a lot, but he sacrificed for his family, for us, he was working really hard. And so for him, that was, what we have always been taught too, is like, you do what you got to do for your family. And that's what he had to do. And so, but I think about that, I can tell that he really like misses it. And so I want to make sure that I don't miss out on that, and I already have, like, I've been here for 11 years. But like I said, my kid's dad is MHA, and they go back a lot. They have a lot of family there too, their other side of their family. So I'm really happy about that even if I can't make it back as much, they do. They make it back more than I do. So that's kind of like my priority too, is like making sure that they get back. And but also my partner is Navajo, my partner of 2.5 years, and that's been like a really big, really great thing that's happened for our family, and his family is here. So it's also trying to find that balance. So it's just kind of always that pull, that pull of like, I really love it here, and also like I feel like I want to be home. I want to be back in North Dakota.
Well, the interesting thing about like Uncle Perry, where he is in life too, is that he's getting older, and so is everyone else, So I feel like Uncle, especially like the aunties and stuff, when I hear them talk about things, is like they are now the elders, and they have to be there for each other and take care of each other, and kind of like, I don't know, because even like my own aspiration is to make sure I am home to be an elder. I feel like ultimately everything that I'm doing in my life is to be a good elder, and I'm gonna go home to do that. So I really like the idea of like how Uncle wants to move back, because I feel like that's the ultimate goal always,
Yeah. It's
And
crazy because at one time, like all our aunties and uncles, majority of them did all move away. Like we're all in different areas, and then there was a time when everyone was home, like all of the family, which was really cool. And when grandma and grandpa were or I think it was when grandma was alive. I'm not quite sure if everyone was home when grandpa was still alive, but it was like there was a time. And so just like us, we've all branched out and left and got educated and experienced the world, experienced life. That's what grandma and grandpa really instilled in our parents and the aunties and uncles, is to experience, get educated, grow.
Education, big.
Education was huge. And they all did that, and they all were everywhere. And that's pretty much what we're all doing, and like you said, to come back home, be here. We don't have to, however you want life to be, like you said, you want to be a good elder and come home and be able to be that, and I think grandma and grandpa would love that, and I think they would be proud of all of us to be where we are and experiencing life and getting educated or spreading our knowledge and our love, and I mean, it's just really, I think it's just really cool, because that's exactly what all our aunties and uncles did,
Yep.
even when they didn't have the means, like how blessed we are to have what we have now. Like they all made it happen, it's pretty cool. So
yeah, no, I know there's like, I think it's like the aunties always say, like grandpa used to always tell them, get educated, because they can take everything from you, but they can never take your education. They can never take your education, your culture from you. So it's like, hell yeah. Like when Desi got her master's, oh my God, that was like, oh, that was so
I know. Cool. I was so sad though, because I never got to have anything and I didn't get to walk. So because it was during the pandemic.
Stupid COVID.
I know. And then everyone said we were going to have a party and stuff, and then no one had a party. So I was just like, meh, whatever.
Well, now it's time.
Have a damn party.
Let's do it this summer. Let's have a huge party, because there's a lot going down this summer.
I know we have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of baby showers to throw that didn't get thrown. We have graduations to celebrate. We have weddings to celebrate. We have all kinds of people to celebrate. So it all has to happen.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I think we pretty much went through everything we wanted to talk about and more.
Oh,
and
for sure.
I mean, at the end of the day, we only speak on our own experiences. We only know what we have been brought up to know. And so everyone's relationship to the reservation, everyone's family, everyone's relationship with their culture is going to be different. So I think it's important to recognize that we understand that, and that we're very much aware of our circumstances. And so let's keep the conversation going. I would really love to hear everyone's feedback and kind of hear your experiences, whether that's in our comments on our YouTube channel or if it's on our Instagram. You can follow us at tenacious_podcast. And then you can follow us on YouTube at the Ten4cious Podcast YouTube channel. And you can also find all of our podcast episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts. I know Tika was going to give us a little bit of a sneak peek of our next episode. So you want to go into that?
Ooh, I'm really excited for our next episode.
Me too. It's going to be so spicy.
It's going to be fun. We're going to talk a little bit about our relationships.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah. Aunties and uncles and grandmas and grandpas, you're not allowed to listen.
No, we're going to talk dating. We're going to talk marriage. We're going to talk divorce.
Sex.
Man, we got all the things.
We don't have sex, Uncle. I know he listens to us.
Oh,
none of us.
What?
Really? Did you have to say?
What is? I don't even know what that
is. What is that?
Never heard of it before. We
all
have
of us
children.
have multiple kids. Oh my God, Melody. Melody got too frazzled. Her light went out.
That's what happens when you say that word.
Oh my God.
Anyways, it should be. Oh, darn it. Anyways, look at Real Rez. Look at that star quilt in the back.
At least it's not up on her windows, because her windows are wide open.
Rains. You know who does that? Oh, I know. You know who does that though? Maya Fox. Oh my gosh. And I think it's one of those things that she doesn't even know. Like, She thinks it's just something people do. She doesn't know it's because
Just hangs it on the window.
She doesn't know it's
Yeah.
Rez.
Oh
I'm
my
like-
gosh. Only.
Oh,
Anyway, next
babies.
episode is going to be a lot of fun. So we're super excited. We hope you enjoyed tonight. We definitely enjoyed it. All the memories and super proud. MHA for
Big one.
life.
MHA for life.
Reser for life.
Yeah. The Rez is always in her.
Mm.
Is that how it goes?
Mm.
It's somewhere.
Somewhere.
I see it.
Somewhere. It's in the heart. It's in the heart, guys. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Heck
In
yeah.
the soul. It's in the soul. Never leaves.
Mm.
All right. Good episode, sisters. See you all later.
Adios, my gods. Mods, good odds. Peace.
Yeah.